Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Puneet Dalmia, Managing Director, Dalmia Bharat Group. He's a philanthropist from India. Mr. Puneet Dalmia has been the driving force behind the exponential growth witnessed by the Dalmia Bharat Group ever since he took over the reins in 2007. He leads a professional team to pursue accelerated growth while maintaining core values which have been at the foundation of the 75-year conglomerate with interest in cement, sugar, and refractories. He serves as FICCI's committee and chairs FICCI's manufacturing committee. He is a founder and trustee of Ashok University and board member of Central Square Foundation. Mr. Puneet Dalmia.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected spiritual leaders and saints from all faiths, Your Excellencies, government dignitaries, co-chairs, distinguished guests, and my dear friends. It's an honor and privilege for me to speak at Samvad 2. I'm neither a spiritual leader, nor a government representative, nor an academician, but an ordinary citizen, and I will approach this topic from the lens of a household person, what they call a grihast. I'm 44 years old, and I have two children who are going to be 13 and 10 this year. So I was very interested in giving both of them good values, good sanskaras, so that they could be good human beings. And I was trying to talk to other parents from around the world to learn from them. And one of my friends in USA told me that the big problems in schools 50 years ago were chewing gum, talking loudly in class, sometimes bunking classes. And now the big problems in schools are teenage pregnancies, drug abuse, and believe it or not, shootouts. People kill each other with guns in schools. Even in India, people are getting worried about what influence external forces will have on their kids. So there was a lot of conflict people were dealing with, even in raising children. If I look at families, there is double the income because two members are working, but half the time, and perhaps 10% of the peace. There is materialistic prosperity, but emotional vacuum. If I look at society, there is increased terrorism, increased conflict, and people are not even sure whether they can go out in large cities after sunset without feeling a sense of danger. So at all levels, whether it is individuals, families, or as a society, we are dealing with enormous conflict. We are living in an era of unprecedented, exceptional progress, but unprecedented conflict. So I was thinking, why is this happening and what can we do about it? So I started thinking of who could provide the solution. Is it the most powerful people in the world, the presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens? And many people in India, like me, sometimes start looking at the Western world for answers. Political leaders understand the pulse of society, and their election manifestos capture the moods and trends of society. So I read a few election manifestos, and many election manifestos in the Western world promise a revival of family values. So they promise to deliver, but they are unable to deliver. And I was thinking family values are naturally present and nurtured in all Eastern civilizations. I grew up in a joint family. We were 30 of us living in one house. We shared rooms, we shared toys, we shared food, and we shared even our clothes. I spent my childhood in an environment where we learned to accept and respect each other. We lived in harmony. There were differences, but we accepted each other. There were fights, but we solved them very easily. And we lived in harmony with a sense of ingrained love and compassion. In a joint family, we also see the whole circle of life in the house. We see a young child, we see a young adult, we see old age. We see the whole circle of life without going outside the house. So subconsciously, it prepares you for life, and it creates a sense of humility. It reduces ego and enhances acceptance. This is the experience that most family-oriented cultures naturally give to their children. In our society, as it was spoken earlier by many spiritual masters and leaders, the concept of family extends to community and society around us. The Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam concept. My mother goes to Vrindavan, which is a religious city near New Delhi where I live, every month. And once I was there with her, and it was 12 noon. India is a very hot country. There was a beggar whose clothes were torn, hair was unkempt, and he didn't get 2 square meals a day. And I saw he was going to eat a roti. And suddenly a dog came and started salivating, started looking at him. He tore the roti into half and fed half to the dog. This is the normal soul, this is the normal values which lie in our society and which promotes living in harmony with all human beings, all living beings. The concept of family extends to other creatures as well and other human beings as well. I live in a colony where there is one guy who runs a small shop, and every day he puts grains, water and biscuits for squirrels, dogs and birds. So my father asked him once, "I feel you are very kind." And he told me, "Sir, I am not kind. I am just giving these people a share of my income, which is something which they deserve because they are a part of society." So he says, "My grandparents have taught me that everybody has a share in my income and I am giving them their share. So I am not doing any favor to them." So the concept of family is extended to a larger society and all living beings. If this is the inner feelings towards all living beings, where is the scope for conflict with fellow humans? Our ancestors understood this, that family is the basic unit of society and civilization. And this is true in all Eastern civilizations. I'm a practitioner of Hinduism, and in one line, if I can capture Hinduism, it is that everything to the last atom is a manifestation of the divine. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. We see everything as an extension of God, and God is pervasive everywhere. This extends to nature also. We worship trees, rivers, mountains. Mr. Gurumurthy spoke about the Bishnoi movement in Rajasthan, where people killed themselves to save trees. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and Prime Minister Abe have done the Ganga Aarti, where they worship the river, and it's a very celebrated, energizing ritual in Varanasi every day, and in many other places in India. We visit Mount Kailash, which is the mountain which is supposed to be the ultimate pilgrimage in Hinduism. So respect for nature is a part of our ancient beliefs. And one of my friends told me that whatever we respect, we will use but not abuse. And if you look at all ancient civilizations, including Egypt, which was one of the most prosperous civilizations, there was inherent respect for nature. Many problems of climate change today are due to lack of reverence for Mother Nature. So accepting and respecting others and sensitivity towards all is natural to Eastern civilizations due to strong family roots and ancient beliefs that encourage harmony with nature. I think Eastern civilizations must come together and lead the dialogue for conflict avoidance and environmental consciousness. It's a part of shared Asian values with deep roots in our ancient sacred cultures. Leadership, I think, has to come from spiritual masters and religious leaders and not political leaders. I think political leaders think about the next election while religious leaders think about the next generation. By and large, religious leaders have more credibility in today's world than political leaders. And religion has the enormous power to influence and unite millions of people. One of our greatest economists and political thinkers, Chanakya, said that if any kingdom has to survive or any civilization has to survive and thrive, it has to stand on three pillars. The pillars of Satya, truth, Nyaya, justice, and Dharma, which is righteousness. I think Samvad too provides a platform for all leaders of all faiths and people who have no personal agenda to come together and have and deepen this dialogue for world peace and resurgence and establish of Dharma for good of society. I am very honored to be able to speak at this Samvad, and I really hope that many youngsters will get a chance to participate in this and hope that we can carry this dialogue forward and create a new consciousness around the world which will promote peace and establish Dharma. Thank you.